There's a specific kind of loneliness that nobody warns you about. Not the kind where you're sitting alone in an empty room. The kind where someone's right next to you, and you still feel completely invisible. You're not single, you're not abandoned. You have a person, but somehow you feel more alone than you did before any of this started. That quiet ache, that's what we're unpacking today. 7 signs emotional distance has been slowly growing inside your relationship, and why it happens to even the most loving couples without either person noticing until it's already deep. Sign 1. You've become co-workers. Think back to how this started. Late-night conversations that went nowhere and everywhere at the same time. Texting each other stupid things just because something reminded you of them. That feeling that this person was interesting. Like there was always more to discover. Now picture a random Tuesday night. You're on the couch. They're on the couch. One of you is watching something. The other is scrolling. Nobody's talking. The most emotionally charged exchange of the day was figuring out whose turn it was to order food. You still love each other. That's not the question. But somewhere between the beginning and now, the partnership quietly replaced the relationship. Psychologists are clear on this. Emotional connection, not just coordination, is what holds a long-term relationship together. When that disappears, you're not really partners anymore. You're just 2 people efficiently running the same household. Sign 2. You stop sharing the small stuff. You're scrolling, you see something funny. The exact kind of thing they would have lost it over 6 months ago. Your thumb hovers over their name, then you lock the screen. Keep scrolling. They probably won't care. That moment, over in 2 seconds, barely noticeable, is more significant than it looks. Psychologists call these bids for connection. Not grand gestures, just memes, dumb observations. You have to hear what happened today. Small attempts to create a tiny spark between 2 people. When your partner responds to those bids, intimacy compounds quietly over time. When they don't, or when you stop trying altogether, the distance does the same thing. Until one day, you realize you don't really know what they're thinking about anymore. And they don't know what you're thinking about either. Sign 3. You feel alone with your own emotions. This is the one that actually hurts. Something's wrong. Not catastrophically wrong. Just that heavy, shapeless feeling sitting in your chest. The kind of thing you used to be able to just say to them, without explaining it. Without bracing for what comes next. But now you don't. Maybe the last time you opened up, they immediately started listing solutions before you'd even finished the sentence. Maybe they said you were overthinking it, which, for the record, has never once helped anyone stop overthinking in the entire history of the human brain. So you started editing yourself, saying I'm fine when you're not. Processing things alone because it feels easier than the alternative. Research is consistent here. Feeling genuinely understood by your partner is one of the strongest predictors of relationship satisfaction. Not expensive dinners, not grand gestures. Just, do they actually get me? When the answer stops feeling like yes, you can be sitting inches apart and feel miles away. Sign 4. You feel more understood by strangers online. Here's where it gets a little uncomfortable. You watch a video, read something, scroll past a quote at midnight, and it just lands in that way that makes you exhale slowly and think, yeah, that's exactly it. More seen than you felt at home in longer than you want to admit. Before you spiral into guilt. This is a signal, not a verdict. When outside content starts becoming your main source of emotional validation, it means something isn't being met closer to home. Not because your partner is a bad person, not because love is gone, but because the frequency between you two has drifted somewhere they can't quite reach you anymore. And what happens when that goes on long enough? Sign 5. You start fantasizing about being understood. The mind starts filling in the gap. Not necessarily with a specific person, just with a feeling. Wondering what it would be like if someone could see you without needing everything explained first. If opening up felt natural again. If you didn't have to calculate whether it was worth it before saying something real. This is loneliness wearing the costume of daydreaming. It doesn't announce itself. It's just a quiet, persistent ache of being in a relationship and still not feeling fully met. Psychologists call this emotional isolation, and it stays invisible precisely because nothing is technically wrong. Nobody cheated. Nobody exploded. The relationship just quietly moved somewhere neither of you planned to go. The scariest part? Most of the time, both people feel it, and neither one says anything. Sign 6. You feel a strange sense of relief when they're not home. This one is hard to say out loud. They're out, running errands, staying late at work. And somewhere beneath the guilt of noticing it, there's a small, quiet exhale, a loosening in your chest. Like you can finally just be without managing anything. That feeling doesn't mean you don't love them, but it means something. When someone's presence starts feeling like weight instead of comfort, it's because everything unspoken between you, the distance, the unmet needs, the things neither of you are saying, has become something your nervous system carries constantly. The relief isn't about them being gone. It's about the tension finally going quiet for a minute. If that feeling is familiar, don't look away from it. That's not nothing. That's your mind telling you something has been wrong for a while. So why does this happen? Relationships don't lose connection through dramatic failures. They lose it through ordinary life. Routine creeps in, stress builds, unspoken expectations quietly pile up. Two people who genuinely love each other stop doing the small things, the almost invisible behaviors that once made the other person feel chosen every day. Psychologists call it relationship drift. Not a collapse, not a crisis, just a slow, imperceptible movement from closeness to distance until the gap is wide enough that you feel it at 2 a.m. Here's what most relationship advice gets wrong. It tells you to do something big, a trip, a serious conversation, a grand gesture. But drift doesn't reverse through grand gestures. It reverses through the same mechanism that caused it. One couple, 2 years deep into silent distance, didn't book a flight. They just agreed on one thing every night before bed. One non-logistical question. Something real. Something that had nothing to do with groceries or schedules or whose turn it was. The first few nights, awkward. Long pauses, half answers. They'd genuinely forgotten how to just talk like that. But by the 10th night, something had quietly shifted. Nothing dramatic, just a little warmer, a little less far apart. Small things broke it. Small things fixed it. Loneliness in a relationship is not a verdict. It's a signal, a sign that something which was once alive between you needs attention again. And the fact that you're sitting here reading this, trying to understand what you're feeling instead of burying it, that already means something. The connection can come back. For most people, it genuinely can. But only if someone decides to reach across the gap you've already started.